In the dead of night, while the Haxon estate sleeps, a shadow detaches itself from the darkness. It moves with an unnatural silence, a grotesque assassin with scarred flesh and eyes that glow with a malevolent purple light. He is a wielder of forbidden magic, and he has come to defile the sanctity of this home. He slips into Louise's room, his lips twisting into a vile grin. But he is not alone. From the doorway, a voice cuts through the silence, cold as the grave. "What are you doing?" It is Damien, his father's sword in hand, his eyes burning with 1,000 years of hatred for those who prey on the innocent. The dark mage is stunned. His sleep magic should have rendered the entire household unconscious. He unleashes a torrent of pure, corrupting energy, a blast of violet malice meant to annihilate its target. But Damien, with the practiced ease of a seasoned warrior, deflects the attack as if swatting a fly. The sound of approaching servants forces the assassin's hand. He dissolves into a cloud of writhing black smoke, pouring out of the window and into the night, leaving only a faint, foul trace of his power behind. An energy Damien recognizes all too well. The next morning, the estate is in an uproar. The Viscount's prized horse lies dead, its life force mysteriously drained. As the servants panic, Damien arrives. He places a hand on the fallen animal, and his eyes narrow. It's the same disturbing aura from the night before. This was no common killer. This was the work of a dark mage. He keeps this terrifying truth to himself. This is his burden to bear, his hunt to finish. Following the faint, corrupting trail of mana, Damien is led deep into the woods, to the mouth of a hidden cave. Inside, the mage laments his fate, a powerful mage reduced to taking cheap jobs while hiding from the ever-present threat of the church. His solitude is shattered. What a stench! A voice calls from the entrance. This is why old men shouldn't live cooped up by themselves. The mage whirls around to see Damien standing there, his expression a mask of cold fury. Shock turns to rage. "You're an amusing one," the mage cackles, his hands crackling with dark power. "If I capture and torture you, you'll make a fine pet." But Damien's smile is anything but amusing. "Sorry, but that won't be happening," he says, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You see, I made a vow this lifetime to avoid killing anyone unless I really have to." He takes a step forward, his eyes glowing with an intensity that stills the air. "However, there's one exception, and that is filthy dark mages like you." The battle is swift and brutal. Damien is a phantom, his blade a blur of silver light, cutting through every spell the mage throws. He slices the assassin in half, but the dark magic user's body grotesquely reassembles, his laughter echoing through the cave. He is an undead horror, but Damien just roars back, "Then I'll just cut you down until there's nothing left of you." Cornered and desperate, the mage reveals his true power. "You'll regret ever crossing a Yulon officer," he snarls, and unleashes the full extent of his dark magic. From the very shadows, a legion of shrieking one-eyed monsters claw their way into existence, a tide of nightmares that surges toward Damien.
The cave has become a tomb. A Yulon officer, a master of forbidden arts, stands cornered. He unleashes a curse of absolute decay, a wave of rotting energy that should turn any mortal to dust. He cackles, believing his victory is assured. But he is wrong. Damien stands unharmed, the violet tendrils of the curse swirling around him like a harmless mist. The mage is stunned, his mind unable to process what he is seeing. And in that moment of shock, Damien himself feels a surge of forgotten power. A glowing crest appears on his hand. A memory, forged in fire and despair, floods his mind. He sees the Archlich, Dorgo, standing over his newly created body, bestowing upon him a final, terrible gift. This is authority, the Lich's voice echoes from the past. The thing known as the power of God. The authority of greed. A power he thought was lost forever. Desperate, the mage unleashes his final, most devastating attack, the eternal flames of hell. A massive, multi-eyed spectral beast of emerald fire erupts into existence, lunging at Damien to consume him whole. It's over, the mage sneers. But he has made a fatal miscalculation. The hellfire washes over Damien, not with a roar of destruction, but with a strange, silent hiss. And then the impossible happens. The flames, the dark mana, the very essence of the curse, are not repelled, they are absorbed. A vortex of brilliant green energy swirls around Damien, drawn into his body as if he were a bottomless well. The authority of greed doesn't just block magic, it consumes all dark mana completely. Damien stands in the aftermath, his body glowing with stolen power. He clenches his teeth, disgusted that he must use a power granted by the one he hates most. But to protect his family, he will use any weapon. He raises his sword, and a blade of pure, solidified aura extends from its tip. It is the Aura Blade, a technique only a true swordmaster should be able to wield. The dark mage can only stare, his mind broken. Wait a second, he pleads. But for a filthy creature who threatened his sister, there is no mercy. The blade falls, a promise of swift and absolute annihilation.
The Dark Mage's cave is now a tomb. Damien stands over the broken body of his fallen foe, his sword pressed against the dying man's throat. "If you tell me before you die, I'll lessen the pain," he says, his voice a low, chilling whisper. "So, where's the Black Snake's hideout?" The information is given, a final desperate gasp from a man who has already seen hell. Damien returns to the city of Landwork, his purpose now a singular burning obsession. In the carriage, his loyal servant Victor watches with a mixture of terror and awe as his master pores over a grotesque book bound in what looks like flayed skin. It is a dark magic grimoire, a trophy from his recent victory. They arrive at the Black Snake's imposing tower, a monument to the city's corruption. But before he confronts his enemies, Damien has one last horrifying task for his servant. He hands Victor a heavy, lumpy sack. "There's something I need you to do for me," he says, his expression unreadable. "What's this?" Victor asks, the strange, foul odor from the carriage now clinging to the bag. Damien's reply is a masterpiece of deadpan horror. A person's head. Victor's shriek is a thing of beauty. He is sent on a mission, a pawn in a game far grander and more dangerous than he could ever have imagined. Meanwhile, in a lavish hall, the corpulent boss of the Black Snake, Cedric Walker, feasts with the equally corrupt governor of Landwork. They are celebrating their victory, their alliance, their absolute control over the city. But their celebration is cut short by the frantic arrival of a subordinate. Damien Haxon is at their door. Cedric is not surprised. He has been waiting. He came to die with his own 2 feet, the boss sneers. He gives the order. Back at the tower, the guards mock Damien before seemingly letting him pass, but it is a ruse. One of the thugs fires a signal flare into the sky, and from the rooftops and alleyways, dozens of Black Snake members descend, their blades drawn. They surround Damien, a sea of snarling faces and sharpened steel. "This is the welcome present the boss prepared for you," one of them sneers. They expect fear. They expect a plea for mercy. What they get is a slow, confident smile. "You'll regret it," Damien says, his voice cutting through the jeers. And then, from the shadows of the city streets, they emerge, cloaked,
Silent figures, their faces hidden in darkness, their eyes glowing with an ethereal light. They move with a supernatural grace, their very presence a chilling counterpoint to the thug's brutish aggression. Damien looks at the unfolding scene, his plan coming to fruition. He has not come for a simple street brawl. He has come to wage a war. "Things don't go as we think they will," he says, his voice a low promise of the chaos to come. "Someone owes me a favor, so don't worry. The pieces are in place. The true battle for Landwork is about to begin."
The city square of Landwork is a whirlwind of chaos. From his tower, Cedric Walker, the boss of the Black Snake, watches in horror as his army is systematically dismantled. The good-for-nothing noble boy he had dismissed as a joke is a monster, a reaper in a field of fallen men. As Damien cuts down the last of the thugs, the mages hired by the Black Snake finally make their move. They unleash a torrent of fire, a massive, swirling orb of magical flame that descends upon him like a vengeful sun. But Damien meets the inferno with a calm that is utterly inhuman. He unleashes a secret move, the Countless Thunder Shadow Revelation, his sword becoming a vortex of silver light that extinguishes the flames in a spectacular display of swordsmanship. As Damien is just about to storm the tower, the ground trembles. From the sky, a figure descends with the force of a meteor, shattering the cobblestones. It is Robert, the guardian knight of Landwork, an official knight of immense power. The arrival of the law only adds to the chaos. The corrupt governor, Sebastian Baker, appears, flanked by the now quivering Cedric. He condemns Damien, his words a web of lies and hypocrisy. "How dare you cause such chaos?" he bellows, and orders Robert to act. The battle is a clash of titans. Robert's power is overwhelming, each swing of his massive battle axe carrying the force of a battering ram. Damien, in his weaker body, is pushed back, the impacts jarring his very bones, but he is not outmatched. With the skill of a 1,000-year-old warrior, he parries and dodges, biding his time, waiting for his true trump card to arrive. And then, just as Robert prepares a devastating overhead strike, a new power enters the fray. A figure, radiating an aura of pure, holy light, descends from the heavens, blocking the knight's attack with a single, elegant movement. She is a vision of divine wrath, a paladin of the Holy Church. Robert can only stare, his attack completely forgotten. From the crowd, the ever-faithful Victor, flanked by two cloaked figures, cries out, "I have arrived." Damien looks at his timely rescuer, a wry smile playing on his lips. "Ha! Why are you so late?" The game has changed, the board is reset, and the city of Landwork will never be the same.
The city square of Landwork is a scene of divine judgment. The paladin, an avenging angel in pristine white armor, stands over the broken forms of the city's corrupt leaders. Her power is absolute, her authority unquestionable. The city, once a den of thieves and murderers, is now under the righteous and terrifying rule of the Holy Church. As the paladins begin their purge, a quiet moment of reflection passes between Damien and the holy warrior Agnes. She is intrigued by him, this boy of impossible skill and cunning. She knows he used her, manipulated the church to serve his own ends, but she also sees his potential, his raw, untamed power. She offers him a place in her order, a chance to become a paladin. Damien's refusal is a masterclass in diplomacy. He is not worthy, he claims. He is a humble devotee, a traveler on a spiritual journey. His words are a web of pious lies, a performance so convincing that Agnes, in her zealotry, is completely enthralled. She agrees to his request for a powerful mana cultivation technique, a reward for his service to the church. She is a disciple of one of the 5 great saints, and her connections are as powerful as her faith. With the city cleansed and a new power in his grasp, Damien has one last piece of business to attend to. He finds the corpulent boss of the Black Snake, Cedric Walker, a prisoner in his own city. And with a vicious, satisfying series of blows, he delivers a final, brutal message. The age of the Haxon's humiliation is over. But in the opulent mansion of the Lion Bloom family, a new storm is brewing. The Marquis, Holland Lion Bloom, has returned to find his son, Erwin, a broken, trembling mess.
That bastard, he tried to kill me. He held a knife, no, a fork to me." The Marquis, his face a mask of cold fury, looks at his once cheerful son, now a trembling wreck. "Who dared to do such a thing to you? Speak now!" The seeds of a new, far more dangerous conflict have been sown, and the name Damien Haxon will soon be on the lips of one of the most powerful families in the kingdom.
A fragile peace has settled over the Haxon estate, but it is the quiet of a battlefield after the cannons have ceased, the air still thick with the memory of bloodshed. This quiet is shattered by the arrival of a force far more intimidating than a horde of thugs, the Holy Church. Agnes, the paladin, stands in the Viscount's drawing room, her presence radiating an aura of unwavering, terrifying piety. The Viscount, Damien's father, is a storm of conflicting emotions. He is proud of his son, but also deeply unsettled by the forces he has brought to their door. Agnes is not here for pleasantries. She is here for Damien. "I want to know you, Sir Damien," she says, her gaze burning with the fervor of a zealot who has just found a new messiah. She presents him with his reward, 2 ancient tomes, a mana cultivation manual, and a sword technique, relics so rare they are considered priceless. "When I told my master about you, he said you're exactly the kind of chosen one the church needs." She takes his hands, her eyes shining. "So, once again I ask, would you reconsider becoming a paladin?" Damien's polite refusal is a splash of cold water on her holy fire. He weaves a tale of unworthiness, of a humble devotee on a spiritual journey. It is a lie so blatant that his servant, Victor, can only stare in disbelief. Yet Agnes, in her fanaticism, is completely captivated. But as this strange courtship of faith and power plays out, a far more sinister force approaches. On the road to the Haxon estate, a company of knights in the proud livery of the Leon Bloom family rides. Their leader is Garrick, an official knight with a cruel sneer and eyes as cold and dead as a winter sky. Their mission is not a simple arrest, it is revenge. Their first victim is a nameless elderly man cut down for the simple crime of not bowing before their crest. "How dare a mere resident not bow before our crest?" Garrick says, his voice devoid of emotion. As he looks down at the crumpled body, a twisted, malicious grin spreads across his face. "I've got a great idea," he muses. Revenge is coming to the Haxon estate, and it will be as swift, as merciless, and as meaningless as the death of an old man on a lonely road.
The dawn breaks over the Haxon estate, but it is not a peaceful one. In the woods, the paladin Agnes and her retinue survey the collapsed cave of the Dark Mage, the evidence of Damien's battle buried under tons of rock. Her investigation is over, but her true mission has just begun. Her thoughts are consumed by the enigmatic boy who commands a power that defies the very laws of her faith. She finds him in a secluded clearing, seated atop a large rock in a state of deep meditation. A swirling vortex of turquoise energy, the very mana of the world, dances around him like a moth to a flame. Agnes is stunned into silence. The destructive energy technique she gave him, a dangerous cultivation method that should take years to master, he is already using to absorb the world's energy in a matter of hours. What in the world am I looking at, she thinks, her mind struggling to comprehend the impossible talent she is witnessing. Damien's meditation is a journey into his own past. He was a sword master, a warrior who had reached the pinnacle of his art. But to face the gods and monsters of his former life, he needed more than just skill. He needed power. And this technique is the key. As Agnes approaches, he opens his eyes. She is here with a final plea, a final offer to join the Holy Order. She tells him of her master, one of the 5 great saints, who believes Damien is a chosen one. But Damien, with a calm that is almost cruel, refuses. Just as this fragile peace seems to settle, a new threat arrives. The Knights of the Lionbloom family, led by the brutish Garrick, have come for their revenge. They beat the servants, their cruelty a casual display of their absolute power. But the Viscount, a man who has so often been a coward, finds a spark of courage. "I will never hand over my son," he roars, his voice shaking, but his resolve absolute. Garrick's response is a cold, cruel smile. Until that Damien bastard comes out, destroy everything. But Damien is already there. He emerges from the shadows, a silent, avenging phantom. He doesn't speak. He doesn't announce his presence. He simply acts. The Lionbloom Knights, their swords raised to strike, suddenly freeze, their bodies paralyzed by an unseen force. What follows is not a battle. It is a lesson. Damien, with the cold, detached precision of a master, dismantles them. He uses his newly acquired mana, a dark, violet power that seems to cling to his very skin, to shatter their armor and their bones with his bare fists. He stands over the fallen Garrick, his sword a hair's breadth from the knight's throat. The once proud knight can only grovel, his apology a pathetic squeak. The Hoxton family is no longer a pawn to be manipulated. They are a power in their own right, a force to be reckoned with. And at their head stands Damien, a man who has been to hell and back, a warrior who will stop at nothing to protect the family he once failed.
The courtyard of the Haxon estate is a graveyard of ambition. The once proud knights of the Lionbloom family lie scattered like broken dolls, their armor rent and their bodies bruised. The silence that follows is heavier than any battle cry, a suffocating blanket of disbelief. From the wreckage, a lone figure rises. Garrick, the official knight. His face a mask of rage and confusion, stumbles to his feet. He cannot comprehend what has just transpired. "How could a rascal like you have such skills?" he gasps, the words catching in his throat. "No need to know," Damien replies, his voice as cold and as sharp as the blade he now holds. He stands over the fallen, a figure of absolute, terrifying power. The Viscount, Damien's father, finally intervenes, his voice a weary plea for an end to the bloodshed. And so, with a final groveling apology, Garrick is sent away, his pride in tatters, a message of defiance delivered to the very heart of the Lionbloom family.